as you can tell, this show is going to probably go pretty fast. Mo is not here right now. She's dealing with a lot, but we know this is going to come back better than ever. So we're moving on because it seems like there has been another forbidden door that has been struck down. And that forbidden door is WWE and TNA. Now, this became apparent because we saw the TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace appear on WWE NXT. Not only did she appear on WWE NXT, she is also set to challenge Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship this week at WWE NXT Battleground in Las Vegas at the UFC Apex. I think that this is huge, but I think this is a testament to a couple of things. Number one, TNA over the past 3 to 4 years has had the best comeback story in professional wrestling, in my opinion. Hold on, y'all. That's my fiance. Hold on. B, I'll call you back. So I think that TNA has had the best comeback story of any company in professional wrestling over the past 3 to 4 years. I think that they were at one point where you couldn't even pay somebody to see them, and now they're working with WWE. But I think that part of it is because TNA has been consistently good. I've talked about this on this show. TNA wrestling has been consistently good for the past 3 to 4 years, and a lot of the things that we complain about in all these other major wrestling companies, TNA has always been solid in, whether it's the diversity in the women's division, in the knockouts division, I should say. I mean, if we look at that roster, you have Giselle Shaw, you have Jordynne Grace. At one point, you had Deonna Purrazzo, right? You have Killer Kelly. You have a lot of great women over there on that roster. Not only do you have a great main event scene in the women's roster, you also have a great tag team division. They have a knockouts tag team division. And I feel like another thing that we've always complained about has been the way that WWE has booked the women's tag team championships. But now, if you look at TNA, they are booking them really, really, really well. And if we look at on the men's side, they have always had a pretty strong main event scene, a lot of solid guys over there. And then obviously they have the X division. Speaking of, I think that Mustafa Ali is doing some fantastic work that's consistently being overlooked, and I don't know why. Moose has been a standout guy for them for years, and he has cultivated himself into a main event performer and an A-plus player. Now with the system, you have Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers, a really good faction, and I didn't think that it would work, but it's working. And so when you look at TNA and over the kind of the spectrum of TNA, you see that team has been working to put forth an exceptional on-screen product that you can get guys that you can put on any TV show at any point in time and they'll work. Jordynne Grace has been a history maker in TNA wrestling. I think she was the first ever TNA digital media champion, which is a gender neutral championship. Anybody can compete for it, and she was the first champion there. And then obviously she's been a 2-time or multiple time knockouts champion there. So the fact that Jordynne Grace is now appearing in NXT, it's no surprise to me. If I were to have a women's division and Jordynne Grace was on my roster and Jordynne Grace was my champion, I would 100% be over the moon to have her represent me in the largest wrestling company in the world. Not to mention that she's already had a little bit of a WWE history because of her appearance in the Royal Rumble. And her competing for the NXT Women's Championship is actually perfect. Roxanne kind of made a point on screen. She's kind of been through everyone. And regardless of if Jordynne Grace wins that championship or not, having a competitor of that caliber challenge for the championship only does wonders for the championship. Jordynne Grace is a main event player. She's a main event performer. And I believe that this is great exposure for her. I believe this is great exposure for TNA. And another thing, speaking of that, the fact that we're seeing the TNA Knockouts Championship being featured prominently on an NXT product shows that NXT is willing to do business. I remember years ago, when AEW began working with other companies. There was a reporter that asked Triple H asked Triple H if they would be willing to work with other companies. And, they said they're open for business. It just has to make sense. And when I look at what's happening here, this is something that just feels like it makes sense, right? I think it's equally beneficial for both parties. You have Jordynne Grace, the TNA Knockouts champion, on a WWE product. I think that it's good exposure for TNA. I think that it spices up the on-screen product for WWE NXT, and I think that everybody just wins all around. But I'm really, really excited about this match on Sunday. And I'm really, really eager to see what happens, because now we don't really know what happens. If Roxanne is correct and she's gone through everybody, do we see Jordynne Grace take the NXT Women's Championship to the NXT Women's Championship? Do we see it being taken to TNA Impact? I think that makes for a very, very interesting dynamic. Also, we saw some NXT women garner some interest in the TNA Knockouts title. So one can only imagine that we're going to see some NXT women on TNA as well. So I'm really, really excited for what's to come. But how do you guys feel about Jordynne Grace being on NXT? I think it's really, really exciting and fun. But let me know in the comments below, and we're going to be moving on.